is welcome to. Just hang tight for a minute. If you're not, we are so happy that you could come. And we hope you'll subscribe to our newsletter and stay connected with us on Instagram for future events. And also, please fill out the feedback form that someone I think is going to put in the chat because it really helps us make all of our events in the future better. So thank you so much for taking your time this Saturday to join us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And now we're going to move into our climate action planning session. Hannah.
Okay. Back to climate action planning, yeah. We will be putting you into breakout rooms based on your area of interest, or if you're working on an existing project, we'll create room for that as well. During this workshop, you are going to be creating a climate action plan or a CAP for your school or community. The project will be all yours. You will brainstorm, design, and make your project happen from the ground up. We're going to walk you through the process, and before we break you up into rooms, we're going to have some lightning speakers.
Yes, our first lightning speaker is going to be Shiofer Linden, a sophomore at Cappuccino High School and the vice president of her school's environmental club. And her CAP was a project to place air quality monitors at every public school in San Bruno. And her project aims to help environmental injustice and disparities within her community and provide an education standpoint on the local effects of climate change for students in San Bruno.
Okay, hi, my name's Shiofer Linden. Next slide, please. Okay, so my project is, again, to put air quality monitors at every public school in my city, San Bruno. If you don't know where that is, it's like 2 to 3 cities south of San Francisco. The air quality monitors that I'm using are from Purple Air, which is a website I'm sure a lot of us have used during wildfire season to see how bad the air is. And the specific model I'm using is called PA2, which measures PM 2.5, or like a unit of particles in the air. And PM 2.5 is considered the most dangerous type of pollutant from like fuel and exhaust. And then what this project mostly is about, smoke from wildfires. My goal with the project is to provide a more, I guess, hands-on educational standpoint on the more local effects of climate change, specifically in my city for students to see. And not only that, but more coverage of air quality in general in San Bruno, since this can help anyone from my community, since the data from the monitors is public on the Purple Air website. Another big part of the project is showing the environmental justice issues in my city, which I'll talk about more in my next slide. So yeah, next slide. Okay, so the idea for this came around last fall, around the start of wildfire season. And as I'm sure we all remember, it was considered the largest in recorded history in California and the longest as well, I think. And because of that, there were periods of time where the air was just always bad. I was using the Purple Air website a lot because of that. And I began to realize that at the time, my city only had about 2 monitors, both of which were in the wealthier areas of my city in the hills, which the air tended to be cleaner in anyways. And then there's this website that my science teacher showed us called Cal EnviroScreen that takes data collected on pollution from areas all over California, and it kind of separates cities and counties into like smaller sections, and it's color coded based on how clean the air is. And this is without wildfire smoke, like just pollution. That picture on the right is the EnviroScreen for San Bruno. And on the map where the sections are more warmer colors is where the air is worst in general. Those areas happen to be exactly where the monitors weren't, meaning that there wasn't, I guess, sufficient or live data on the air quality there. And then that's when we realized that this was more a socioeconomic and environmental justice issue, since those regions tended to be more lower income and closer to freeways, and especially the SFO airport. Next slide, please. So this project is still going, but it started in August, like I mentioned before, in the middle of wildfire season. I did a lot of research looking into the idea, like where the most ideal place in my city to put the monitors would be, since at the time I wasn't planning on having them at schools. Um, and then I also looked at what monitors could be used based on like cost and effectiveness. And I later chose Purple Air because they're generally more affordable, but still pretty good quality. After that, I guess I took my research to my science teacher, who was also the advisor for my school's environmental club, and we started looking at sources for funding. We started with what's called the San Bruno Community Foundation, which is an organization that my city has to provide funding for certain projects, and under other money-based needs like scholarships and things like that. Um, they had a yearly grant that was available, but after I took the idea to my principal, he thought it would be a better idea to apply to this new growth fund that my school's site council had for teacher and student led projects. Um, so we did, and the request was approved pretty fast, and we were able to order the monitors in November. However, there were several issues throughout the course of the project. Definitely the biggest one being that everything was online, and I've never had to write so many emails in my life. And communication is definitely a lot harder because of this. There's also an issue of shipping costs that the grant didn't cover, but fortunately, we're able to cover that with funds left over in my school's science department, that they weren't able to use last year because of COVID. And then the monitors were back ordered, and they took about 3 months to arrive. So we weren't actually able to start until about February. Because of all of this, especially communication issues, and also because schools are opening back up and it's just not a priority right now. We've only been able to put up one, in my high school. But apart from all that, it was made pretty easy just from all the support I got from like staff and administrators in my district. And I definitely think that the impact from this, once it's finished, will definitely, outweigh all the problems that occurred during. And yeah, I hope this helps inspire some people, and maybe you could even use this information to do the same in your city. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shafra. Our next speakers are Madison Lurseth, Gigi Malia, and Naya Uruti. They all attend Convent High School, and their climate action plan is to provide their school's community with TerraCycle bins to help with waste management.
Hi, so again, we are Sacred SF Eco Friends. I'm Madison Lurseth, and my pronouns are she and her.
I'm Naya Rudy. My pronouns are also she and her.
And I'm Gigi Molia, the vice president, and my pronouns are she and her as well.
And next slide, please. So these are our Instagrams. We have the Sacred SF Eco Friends, and we also just opened up a new thrift store Instagram that you guys should check out, and we've been posting on it a lot recently.
Next slide.
And last year we attended the Bay Area Youth Summit, where we created a CAP mission, and our mission statement is that our mission is to provide the Convent Circle community with TerraCycle bins to help with waste management.
Next slide.
So every month our school gets fined for our inability to properly sort out trash, and we wanted to create a sustainable solution to solve this issue. So we thought what better way than to bring in TerraCycles or introduce TerraCycles to our school. So what we did was we used our Instagram to raise awareness of our goal, and we began researching how much this project would cost us. And we also started thinking of different fundraiser ideas to raise money. Next slide, please.
So like Maddie said, the process was first to research, and then second, we presented our ideas to school administration, which was a little bit easier since we went back in person a little earlier. So we got to actually meet with them. And then Our third was to fundraise. And then our fourth step is to implement the TerraCycle bins around the school. So our challenges is raising enough money because TerraCycle isn't cheap and one bin costs $149. Also, fundraising was a little difficult just because of the pandemic and finding safe ways to fundraise. But we ended up doing a bake sale box where we baked goods and we were able to put them in a box and like deliver them to different people. And then we also made sustainable t-shirts and masks that we sold. And then, so our successes, we raised roughly $150, which is obviously only enough for one bin. So we're gonna be making our own bins around school to collect trash as well. Next slide.
So where are we now? We ordered the TerraCycle bins and then we created our own. Yeah, like Gigi said, that we put them around the school, and then after we're going to gather the trash that was in there and then transfer it into the actual TerraCycle bin. And then we created posters that we placed like all around the school and above the bins. And then we are continuing to educate our community. So we host like weekly like Zoom meetings, and we discuss the progress that we made, and we think of new ways that we can create sustainable change.
Yeah, so that's our project.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sacred SF Eco Friends. Our final lightning speaker is our very own Christie Vong, a senior at Lowell High School. She co-leads Lowell Eco Club and created Eco Swap, a community clothing swap for 3 weeks with 7 locations to drop off and pick up clothes, aiming to encourage and excite San Francisco youth about secondhand clothing. Take it away, Christy.
Okay, hello. So my name's Christy. I'm from Lowell High School in San Francisco, and one project that we did this pandemic, I think, it was this January to February, and we made this Instagram called Lowell Eco Swap, and it was a huge success. It was basically, like you guys see in this profile, we had an Instagram and we had 7 different members of our club hold these drop-off boxes for like 2 or 3 weeks in front of their houses. And we just were open to donations from people with clothes. And what we would do every single day was take back these bins, take pictures of clothes and post it. And then people got really excited because they saw something they liked, and then they swiped up to DM us to claim it. And then we scheduled a time for them to pick it up. So we in total got about like 1,000 clothes or more. And okay, you can go to the next slide. And we ended up getting like 200 or so picked up. So these were the posts that we had on Instagram. We kept it pretty simple so that the important posts were easily found. There was a map of drop-off and pickup locations, and then there was instructions. And then I just have some room for improvement that we probably could have done. Have a theme because our posts were all over. Also use people's attention and our advantage with all of this attention to create a post for resources and education, which we have not done yet because we wanted to raise awareness about fast fashion with this event, and also possibly collaborate with other environmental organizations for help or just outreach in general so that we could help people learn about fast fashion and like also know the alternatives that they have. Like that's not just thrifting, but like finding online thrift stores like ThredUp. And yeah, just have an educational space. Next slide. Okay, and this is just an example of what was on our stories. So we had highlights for different locations. I was number 7, and I just, this was like the first day I took a picture of the box, and I was like, box 7 is here, and it was at a local park, and people dropped off a ton of clothes there. And then on the second picture, it was just one of like our many stories. Our many stories of pictures of clothes with the size and where the house was. So people who were interested got to DM us and claim them. And then at the end of it, we sent all of them to ThredUp to make sure that the clothes would be recycled or reused responsibly. And ThredUp is this online thrift store. So a lot of it, they posted on their website and they got sold. So people actually got to buy them and they got to have better homes. I mean, they got to be sent to new homes. And like some of our education was on the box that we was on the flyer that was on the box. We were saying how 80% of clothes that people drop off at Goodwill don't actually get sold, so they get sent overseas, where they get left in less developed countries, and sometimes they get incinerated because there's so much trash. So yeah, ThreadUp, we sent it to ThreadUp so that they recycled them responsibly, or if they did not get sold. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christy, and thank you to all the lightning speakers who spoke today. It was super inspiring to hear all of your stories and your projects, and I hope everyone here today was able to feel motivated to try and take action in their community. Definitely did for me. I was definitely on that Lowell Eco Club Instagram for sure. So yeah, we are now going to move on to our CAP groups. And today we have 4 lovely SFE San Francisco Environment members to help facilitate our discussions. Gianna, Esther, Monica, and Jocelyn. Some you probably have seen their faces. They've been a part of our previous projects, so thank you for always being our number one supporter. So yeah, like I said, they'll be facilitating our discussions. And you've already most likely selected your topics on the registration form, but if you didn't, it's fine. We are just going to open up the breakout rooms and you're able to choose the room you want to be a part of. And if you don't have that updated version of Zoom, don't worry, just stay in the main session and a basic member can help you move to the room of your choosing. So yeah, I think the breakout rooms had just opened now and you can select. So yeah, have discussions.
Thank you.
Hey, Dory, want to stop recording for now?